Ah, October. The time where the temperature stopped feeling like I'm up the big day's ass crack. The leaves change to that beautiful, beautiful orange. And of course, the ever approaching day of Halloween. And then there's people like me who just stay around trying to fend off animatronics and try not to get stuffed into an animatronic suit. For those not in the know, back in October of 2020, I took it upon myself on reviewing the first 4 Five Nights at Freddy's games. So now nearly 3 years later, I am doing it again, but this time I'll be attempting to review all the games in the lead up to Halloween. So, without further ado, welcome to my re-review of Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through 4. Given your current upload schedule, I'm predicting now you will not be getting these out by Halloween. Dude, I'm writing this in September. September, my ass! It took you like 3 months to make the Ripped Apart review. Okay, that wasn't my fault. Thanks, SMP, for taking forever with the thumbnail, you hybrid piece of shit! Enjoy the show! Hello and welcome back everyone to a brand new group of re-reviews. For the first day of October, I'll be re-reviewing Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through 4. All 4 games are point-and-click survival horror games created by Cawthon, FNAF 1 releasing in August of 2014, FNAF 2 in November of the same year, FNAF 3 in March of 2015, and finally FNAF 4 of July of the same year. Wow, Scott really pumped these games out faster than Nick Cannon pumping out kids and me pumping out videos in the early days of the channel. Originally, they were PC exclusives, before coming to mobile, but now you can play them all on the Five Nights at Freddy's Core Collection for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch. This is how I'll be showing off footage for each of the games, unlike in the original video where I used the middle versions. You candy-crushing motherfucker! Shut up! At the time I didn't have a capture card, nor was the Core Collection even out. So let's start off this journey with FNAF 1 and answer the question. Are these games any good, and are they games I could recommend to you? Let's find out. You had to live under a rock to not have heard of these. God, I need friends. So the plot of the first Five Nights at Freddy's is that you're a security guard looking for work and you decided to take the night shift at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza because you have no one else hiring, you gotta pay for college, you have no experience, and you just take the first shitty job you offer because your parents made you get a job even though you're bad at socializing. Like, I'm sorry mom, I was raised with public schools and people are assholes. I get it, I don't play basketball, let it go. My apologies my dear viewers, my friend's vent got into my script. Anyway, so, that sounds easy, right? Just make sure nobody breaks into the play.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Turns out the animatronics tend to, and quoting phone guy here, get a bit quirky at night. Let's face it, that's not the lowest joke I made on the channel. I can already tell what that honor goes to. So basically your main goal is to survive till 6 AM, go back for 4 more nights of Freddy Fazbear festivities because you either A, hate yourself, B, really need the money, or C, get off the thrill of the danger. Cause genuinely, why would you want to come back to this job after 1 day at most? And that's coming from someone who makes content, usually, reviewing bad games. For free! Until I hit 500 subs. But like that'll ever happen. I really need to get those damn rabbits from SMP again. But how? Oh, but of course, how to brainwash children. How does hell have a prison? Wait a minute. I have claws. I could just kill the guard. So after surviving all 5 nights, you get rewarded with $120. Which, if you do the math, is $4 and hour, which is very, very grossly underpaid for 1993. But wait, there is more. After beating night 5, you get a bonus 6th night. Fuck! And if you complete that, you get an additional 50 cents. So, was that worth it? I would rather get all the achievements in Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 all over again. I've met my fair share of no-lifers, but you, sir, you are the complete blobfish. In my defense, it was only 24 achievements. Okay, I hear you. Counterpoint, it's Sonic 06! For fuck's sake, this isn't a review of one of your games. Why are you still here? Get real friends to talk to! God, I am so lonely. Well, after beating night 6, we unlocked the custom night, where we can set all the animatronics to 0, or go full mental insanity and crank those sucker up to 20 for the 420 Blaze It challenge. And after being that hellish challenge, we get fired because we tampered with the animatronics and odor? They fired me because I smell? Well, excuse me for shitting my pants after every night your robots were trying to kill me! So yeah, that was the story, and honestly a part of me missed the days where the franchise wasn't super lore heavy and just went for a simplistic minimal story. It's kind of like the Souls games by From Software. It allows the player creative freedom to piece together certain things. But now, with the story done, let's move on to the gameplay. For a game with little to no plot, you spent a lot of time on it. Then again, 90% of this was jokes. Why are you still here?! So the gameplay of FNAF 1 has us in control of the security guard Mike Schmidt, and name of the game is look at cameras, check the doors and lights, and die. It's a super simple premise where we basically stuck our ass to a chair because I guess Fazbear Entertainment always supplies an ass load of super glue to the chair before we start our shift. Assholes, the least they could do is give me a taser because whenever we close the doors, check the lights, check the cameras, or hell, pull a Luigi and do fucking nothing or just scratch our nose, we drain power. Seriously, why is the fan still on? I would rather become a human slip inside than be a human animatronic. Now, each animatronic has their own set movement path or special gimmicks. Bonnie attacks from the left, Chica attacks from the right, Foxy only comes out when you're not looking at him, and as punishment he drains the power when he bangs on the door, and Freddy is a tricky motherfucker, but he also attacks from the right. So it all comes down to managing your power and making sure you don't hit 0%, otherwise you'll be greeted with Freddy's fast cock and balls in your jaw, and then you'll get stuffed.
Holy shit.
So yeah, gameplay is super simple to get to grips with. Not sure if I can add much. Wait a minute. There's a secret character you have a very, very, very small chance of bumping into. Golden Freddy. Stare at him too long, and in the original PC release of the game, he crashes the entire game. But nowadays, he just boots you back to the title screen. I can see where Flabby got his inspiration from. Wait a minute. Golden Flower, Golden Bear. Is Flowey the Flower related to Golden Freddy? But hey, that's just a theory. A game! Okay, I'm sorry, that was bad. Now, I will go over visuals and OST, but A, all the games were made on the same engine, so I want to save my thoughts on the visuals after talking about all 4 games, and B, the game doesn't really have an OST per se. I mean, you hear music from the kitchen and there's Foxy's humming, but not a full OST. But now, I say it's time to jump to FNAF 2. So the plot of FNAF 2 takes place in 1987, making this a prequel to FNAF 1. And before you get at me, Cinema, since Castlevania Lament of Innocence is the 25th Castlevania game released in order, yet in the timeline, it's the first game. Though, this does make me wonder why call it FNAF 2. Why not call it Five Nights at Freddy's 1/2 or something? Or better yet, Five Nights at Freddy's Electric Boogaloo. It makes sense given the robot malfunctions that happen. But anyways, this time we play as Jeremy Fitzgerald as the night guard for his summer job. God, I feel bad for this guy already. And this time, instead of there just being 4 to 5 of these asshats, there's now 11 of these fuckers! Nope, I'm done. Just as assault on the wound, I'm getting paid $100.50 a week. Fuck that! Like, I'm pretty sure teachers get paid more than that. They don't? God, that's just depressing. You all don't get paid enough to deal with our bullshit. But yeah, we then come back for a 6th night because horror protagonists have the same IQ Peter Griffin does. But this is where we have... I'm not gonna play it. I'm not gonna play it!
Was that the bite of 87?
So yeah, much like last time, the story is simplistic, yet it still gives us plenty of creative freedom to work with, despite this game sparking the biggest mystery in the franchise, which to my knowledge still hasn't been solved, though a lot of evidence points to Mango. So now, with the story done, let's move towards the gameplay. The gameplay of FNAF 2 has us in the shoes of Jeremy Fitzgerald, and the name of the game is check the cameras, wind the music box, check the vents, insert your shitty Among Us joke here.
Among Us.
Check the pitch blackness that is your hallway, put on the Freddy mask, and die. So already, there's something completely terrifying that's staring us down. The goddamn hallway! This is where a majority of the animatronics will go to just to get to your office. Luckily, to combat them, we have the empty Freddy head, which can fool a majority of them. Which just makes me wonder why we weren't given this in the first game, since this is a prequel.
Well, now we've got 2 Freddys in the room. Cool. Bonnie, oh my god, I will slap you!
Oh yeah, speaking of, the only characters this doesn't work on are Foxy the Puppet and... oh god. Fucking Balloon Boy. This bitch sucks! Honestly, I think we can all unanimously agree that Balloon Boy is hands down the worst fucking character ever conceived in the entire franchise. And that is saying a hell of a lot. He is the Ronaldo of the FNAF series. When he gets to your office, if you don't use the Freddy mask when he's in the vent, he'll take away your ability to use your flashlight, so you can't flash Foxy in the hallway, so you might as well just pull your pants down and take it raw without the lube.
Cause I like to be wined and dined after I've been fucked.
So yeah, the game is much harder compared to FNAF 1. At least there you have the safety of your doors, but here you're just as exposed to death as pussies when running from Lobo. But wait, remember how I said there's 11 animatronics? Well, I kinda maybe sorta lied, there's a few more. Shadow Bonnie, Shadow Freddy, Endo 02, and JJ. Shadow Bonnie and Freddy just crashed the game, while Endo 02 and JJ just there.
Menacingly!
I did also mention the flashlight, which we used to flash down the hallway to reset Foxy's jump scare timer so we can avoid, you know, death. So, I think that just about covers FNAF 2. Now, the downward spiral begins.
It begins!
So FNAF 3 takes place in 2023.
Oh no, bro.
Around 30 years after the events of FNAF 1. This time some dumbass thought it would be a good idea to make a horror attraction based on the unsolved mysteries around Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Who's the 4000 IQ Ultra Gigabrain super genius that thought this would be a good idea? This time, however, Night 1 is surprisingly uneventful. But trust me, shit starts hitting the fan from Night 2 onwards as we are introduced to quite possibly the most infamous character in the entire franchise, Springtrap.
Like Scoob, like I just killed 4 children and stuffed them into suits, dude.
Roro, Reggie, what's wrong with you?
Like I'm the man behind the slaughter, dude.
So from Night 2 onwards, it's a fight for your life as you try to survive until 6 AM. And you don't even get fucking paid for this shit!
You are not paying me enough for this.
But we beat Night 5 and... bad ending. Bad ending!
Excuse me. What?
Yeah, this game is the start of a trend of FNAF games having multiple endings. Yay! Fun! I always viewed the Nightmare Mode ending, aka the Night 6 ending, as the true ending of the game, because like hell I'm going through all the minigames just to get the good ending. Yeah, in case you couldn't tell, this is where Five Nights at Freddy starts getting very lore heavy. For better or for worse, it's entirely up to you to decide. But I do find the concept of this game pretty much the starting trend of most of the future FNAF games having multiple endings to be not that good, especially in the case for 3, since you need to do all these mini games that you would have no idea to do otherwise unless you were using a guide. But now, with the story done, let's move on to the gameplay. The gameplay of FNAF 3 has us once again in the shoes of a security guard who this time doesn't have a name. There are theories as to who we play as, but I'm gonna save this for when we get to the later games. Anyway, the name of the game is to just look at cameras, keep Springtrap away from you, reboot your systems, and die.
This is fun, right?
In between each night, we play a little mini game where we play as the animatronics and follow what looks like Shadow Freddy in the FNAF 1 building. But once we reach a certain area, we are then properly introduced to another infamous character, the Purple Guy.
I love being purple!
As he dismantles all the animatronics until night 5 where we play as the ghost of a crying child. It's here where we learn the big twist. Purple Guy and Springtrap are one of the same. Yeah, no shit, it's been years, you know this. But for those who live under a rock in space in a different dimension, that's a strong ass Sage level VPN we got. Springtrap is something known as a spring lock suit, but once those springs are hit with moisture, the spring locks activate and basically, here's a monetization version of what happened. Wait a second. Fuck them kids! So basically Purple Guy's corpse is essentially reanimated, allowing him to become Springtrap. Which just now raises the question, why did nobody suspect of a rotting human carcass inside the suit when they found Springtrap? I mean, come on! If you take a quick little dive into the lore, we can suspect Purple Guy got springlocked sometime in 1993, considering that the third game takes place 30 years after FNAF 1. So that's an over 30-year-old rotting body in that suit. I'm pretty sure it would smell worse than 10,000 dead skunks, 50,000 durians, and so much dog poop you can make your own Mount Everest out of it! Does this take place in the South Park universe or something? Because I don't know any other world where someone wouldn't suspect something! Anyway, back to the game itself. From night 2 onwards, we are then forced to deal with Springtrap as well as the new Phantom animatronics, consisting of Phantom Balloon Bitch, Freddy, Chica, Mango, Foxy, and Puppet. Each of them can and will disable each of your basic needs, like cameras, your audio lures so you can keep Springtrap away from you, and even the ventilations, because I guess Springtrap likes his victims having a slow, painful death as they suffocate. Luckily though, there is a second panel on your left for you to either reboot them one at a time, or reboot them all at the same time, but at the cost of it taking a long time.
How long is this going to take?
So basically it's like FNAF 1's gameplay, but with 20 extra steps just to make sure your ass stays alive. Yay! But overall, outside of the requirements of the good ending, I still think that the gameplay is pretty alright. Now, on to FNAF 4. Alright, FNAF 4's story takes place in 1983, and much like FNAF 3, after each night we play a minigame in the lead up to a big party. After beating night 5, we see the child we've been playing as get carried by who we can assume to be his jackass brother, because all brothers are jackasses cliche. Over to Golden Freddy, who is now called Fredbear, stuffed the child in his mouth, and...
On 3, 1, 2!
Once again, before you get all CinemaSins on me, as I said before, this game takes place in 83, so this is the bite of 83, not 87. This timeline is so fake, I swear to God! Also, wow, Scott had the balls to show a child getting killed by his own brother. But again, fuck them kids! So now that implies that we play as the child that got killed in the main game for said 5 nights, fighting for his comatose life in what is basically a nightmare where you have to fend off from Jesus fuck! Who designed these things? Freddy Krueger? These sons of bitches have gotten a seriously terrifying upgrade since FNAF 3. I can't even classify them as robots anymore. These are creatures straight from hell! Wait a minute.
No regrets!
Now, as for what I think of the story, yeah, this is where I think the downward spiral that is the FNAF lore really kicks off into maximum overdrive with the now introduction of the new bite of 83, and it's really making me miss the simple charm of the first game's story. But now, let's move on to the gameplay. Gameplay of FNAF 4 takes the most drastic change of the franchise, at the time of this game's release at least, where for the first time we can actually move. Sort of, it's more like you
waddled away, waddle waddle, till the very next day, bum 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 bum.
But still, top tier gameplay, Scott. Another change to gameplay is the use of audio, meaning to completely immerse yourself, you have to wear headphones. You see, the audio kind of works like this. If you hear something coming from the left, then you'll mainly hear it through your left headphone earpiece and vice versa for the right. Meaning in order to figure out where these crack house animatronics are, you need to shut the fuck up and listen closely to not only footsteps, but also breathing, and in the case of Night 5 with good old Nightmare Fredbear, laughter. And if you can't hear anything, you will have to turn it up so much that the jump scare sound will rape your ears more than the average middle schooler Sonic meme. Recipe Sonic movie review. Wait, who said that? Now, Freddy and Foxy in this game work differently. In the case for Freddy, you can look behind you towards the bed. Sometimes you can see something called a Freddo. Wait too long and say hello to Nightmare Freddy and the game over screen.
And say goodbye to your eardrums.
As for Foxy, you just gotta keep going from left to right and keep him out of your closet, the damn Furfinity mascot. Don't do that, and you just gotta keep the door closed until he's nothing more than a marketable plushie. Now, we do have a flashlight, but what's the use of that if the chances of it's getting you killed? I know something's out there. I think I can hear footsteps, but I can't be certain unless I flash at the pitch blackness that is the hallway. And I'm just gonna have to come clean here, everyone. I can't beat this game. What? Look, sound effect guy, as much as I like this game, I was fucking terrified! What? Yes, you heard it here, folks. I consider Five Nights at Freddy's 4 to be the scariest game in the franchise. It's already bad enough that I have to rely on sound, but wearing headphones with the volume crank up to max is just a giant bag of fuck that. FNAF 4 doesn't just exploit the weaknesses and vulnerabilities of a child, it fucks with the human's primal fear of the unknown so hard in the ass you think you were in prison. And I should know, I've done both in this video. Also, in between nights, we have the fun with Plush Trap minigame where if we win, we get to skip 2 hours of the current night. But if you straight up suck at this game like me, then chances are you won't get that 2-hour skip. Cause fuck me, Scott. So yeah, out of all 4 games I'm looking at here, this is the one I certainly like the least because of the fact that I have to rely on sound cues in order to even remotely enjoy this. Now, would you believe that this game got a free Halloween DLC? It mainly just switches out characters for different ones with the exceptions of Nightmare Bonnie and Chica, now called Jacko Bonnie and Chica, with Jacko Chica's Cupcake now being a pumpkin. The animatronic Nightmare is replaced with Nightmare Leon or Nightmare Puppet, Nightmare Foxy is replaced with Nightmare Mango, and Plush Trap is replaced with... No! This bitch is back! At least his laughter is easier to hear compared to Plush Trap's footsteps, so that's the only plus from this. There are also little cheats we can add like faster nights, a danger indicator, and a radar map just to make this game a bit easier. Too bad we have to beat the game in order to unlock it. And in the new mobile versions of FNAFs 1 and 2, you have to pay $5 for the survival kit. What's with mobile games and microtransactions? So, yeah, I think that just about covers everything regarding the gameplay of FNAF 4. Now, at long last, let's move on to the visuals and OST and finally get this video done and over with, because holy shit, I am never reviewing 4 games in one video ever again. Knock on wood. Now visually, while they
all looks the same,
mostly because these were made in the same engine, that being ClickTeam Fusion 2.5, visually in terms of the animatronics themselves, they all look uncanny, but in a good way, since the approach that Scott took with the animatronics is that he tries replicating those old Chuck E. Cheese animatronics, and I think for the first 2 games he really accomplished that feat. As for Springtrap, saying that this design is iconic is a massive understatement. This might just be the most gruesome animatronic ever in the franchise. Considering this is part man, part machine, you should expect some gore, but the fact that we can see those dead, soulless eyes and even his mouth, hell, in some of the rare boot-up screens, we can see the purple guy trying to tear off the mask, giving us these wonderful images.
good luck sleeping tonight.
I can't wait to get to a later game where they screw up his iconic design, you rabid-looking piece of shit! And as for the nightmares, while in concept they look scary in the teaser images, in the final game I think Scott might have gone a bit overboard with trying to make them look like they came out of a nightmare. As for the environments, I say in terms of colors they're vibrant despite using a fairly dark color palette, except for FNAF 3, which mainly went down the route of late 2000s and early 2010s first-person shooters, with the colors mainly consisting of a vomit-inducing green and a shitty brown, which I am just not a fan of. It looks like what fish swim in.
Don't you people realize we are swimming in our own?
Here he comes.
And then there's FNAF 4, where the main color scheme seems to either be the brightest or darkest red possible. As for OST, it's mainly atmospheric ambiance. I mean, there is a reason why I've been using some of the best FNAF fan songs ever as background music for this video, such as the instrumental version of the FNAF 1 song by LivingTombstone, the FNAF 2 rap by JT Music, It's Time to Die by DaGames, and Home by Natewantstobattle. I'll leave links to both the original versions and their instrumental counterparts in the description below. Now, let's recap. I think the story for these 4 games were decent before the lore started taking priority. Gameplay does change things up for each game for better or worse. Visually they're pretty good except for FNAF 3, and OST, I think it's safe to say that the fan songs mainly carried this. So let's wrap this up with my closing thoughts. Overall, I think these games are pretty decent at best. Now, before you all grab your pitchforks and try turning me into a Lycanroc shish kebab, let me explain myself. I think in terms of gameplay, at least in terms of the first 4 games, you should mainly stick with 1 through 3 and only check out 4 if you're curious, or if you want to get your ears blown out. To me, the first 3 games do offer a super familiar gameplay that doesn't require any extra things like having to wear headphones or your volume turned up to the max. And plus, FNAF 3 makes me feel like I'm in a horror flick, if I could describe it. Almost being like in something like Saw, where you feel trapped in a super confined area with a murder bot after you. Whereas FNAF 4 makes you feel like you're in a Nightmare on Elm Street, but Freddy Krueger cuts the one-liner bullshit and unleashes the full extent of his Dreamworld powers and shows zero mercy. So, if I were to give each game their own respective scores, I would give FNAF 1 a 9 out of 10, FNAF 2 gets an 8 out of 10, FNAF 3 gets an 8.5, and finally FNAF 4 gets a 6.5 out of 10. So I think on average, I would give the first 4 games a solid 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. But now, I want to know from you all. Did you play the first 4 FNAF games? What did you think of them? And are they games you would recommend to a friend? Please, leave your answers and more down in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and while you're here, consider subscribing and turn on the bell to be notified whenever I make a new video. As always, my social media links are down below. Now if you'll excuse me, there's a sister location I need to find. Till then, see you all in the next video.